was gonna be this way.
Hi, welcome to episode 8 of the Monday Morning Manager. I'm your host, Terry Hollenbach. I'm excited that you could join me for today's episode. I told you last week that we would be talking about performance discussions, and that is exactly the topic that we're going to be touching on today. A lot of companies are getting into performance discussion season where it's time that we have those monthly, quarterly, or annual discussions with our employees. And if you've been dreading that, I'm sorry to hear it because performance discussions are one of the most exciting and greatest opportunities to build the type of workforce that we want to be more successful in our jobs. The particular topic that we're going to be talking about in regards to performance discussions today is the communication style that you choose as you hold these performance discussions. And I would just ask you that you go through and take a look at your communication style and you mix it up depending on the particular employee that you're going to be talking to. When I've gone through the process myself, when people have had performance discussions with me in the past, I know that the particular supervisor that I've been working with has just gone through, written the information out, put it down on the piece of paper, and presented it to me in the exact same style that they did the employee before me and would with the employee after me. And that's even with some of the people that I consider the best managers that I've had the opportunity to work with. Over time and just investigating the way that I could build the best staff possible and try to make the situation the best that it could be in moving forward and making sure that we had a productive and enjoyable work atmosphere, I tried to go through and just adjust my communication style to better fit the particular employee that I was talking with on that date and on that time. I tried to make sure that we could go back and forth and have it as an interactive discussion, a good round of communication, not a soliloquy where I was sitting there and delivering a speech and then they were signing something at the end agreeing to it. In my book, Somehow I Managed, I use Friends as a reference in regards to this because each of the characters from that particular sitcom had just amazingly different personalities. You had the calm ones, you had the friendly ones, you had the goof, you had the person who was semi serious, and you had the people who were loving and caring, and the people who acted kind of aloof. And we're not going to talk about all the different characters from Friends, but I am going to focus on just a few for the point that I'm making in this week's episode. The first one I'm going to focus on is the character with whom I would never want to have a performance discussion, and that is Ross. From Ross, he had such a wide range of character attributes. Some of the time he could be the quirky goof, and some of the time he was an angry person. If you go back and watch all the episodes, you'll see what I'm talking about. And the reason I wouldn't want to have a performance discussion with him, you never know what you're going to get. From one discussion to the next, he could be that quirky, funny, ironic guy that's just pointing out things and you're having a friendly conversation. And the next time he could be a fiery volcano erupting. And as an employee in an office environment, as an employee who has worked with others, I just want to know what to expect from the person that I'm working with. I just want it to be calm. I want it to be stable. And I want to know what to expect from day to day and week to week. There are some absolutely fantastic examples from the show Friends that I think would be perfect to deliver a conversation. And depending on what type of conversation that you're going to be having, would be the particular character that you would want to portray. There's Phoebe, played by Lisa Kudrow. There's Monica, played by Courtney Cox. And there is Matthew Perry's Chandler Bing. And each of those brought different personalities and viewpoints to the show. And one was a very upbeat, very pleasant person who could still, at the end of the day, if she needed to, get her point across. And that's Phoebe. There's Monica, who loved getting praise and should always respond with the classic, I know, right? Whenever someone would point out something good that she had done or give her a particular compliment. But she was also quick to support and compliment others. And then there was Chandler Bing, the guy who you never knew how he got the job that was in a corner office in a New York high rise. And nobody ever seemed to really know what he did for a living for the longest time. But he was relatively calm, patient, and sarcastic. You always knew kind of what you could expect from those three characters. And that's why I would always be more excited to get a conversation with them than I would from somebody like Ross. As you go through and you start delivering these performance discussions during this time of year, I just want to encourage you to think with friends style, to go through and see, okay, I'm getting ready to talk to Lisa from accounting. How does she like to communicate? How could I best get my message across to her? Should we have a sit down first where we have a few minutes of discussion about what's going on with her? Maybe I should mention a couple of the items that we've had previous discussions about in regards to things that are going on at home. Maybe I should check in with her about her kids. Or you have some employees who are just so nervous, they want to get the process started and over with as quickly as possible. You don't want to hold those casual conversations at the beginning. You want to just get from point A to point B, let them ask any questions that they have, hold any discussion that you need to, get them to sign and get them out of the office. You just need to know your staff, and that's going to allow you to have the absolute best communication that you can during these performance discussion times. If you haven't had an opportunity to yet, I would encourage you to check out the messages from this and other aspects of leadership and management in my book, Somehow I Manage, now available on Amazon. If you haven't had an opportunity to, now's a great time to check it out. And before you leave today, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please take the time to like and subscribe below. Thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.